Welcome in to Rover Sports, the program tonight. As you see that beautiful fire pit that has just been lit in the household of the Rover. Anyway, I'm trying to turn this off now. Anyway. So, got some coaching news in collegiate football. The University of Arizona hired the worst football coach in the history of the game of football. Adam Gase is 100 times better than the coach that the Arizona Wildcats just hired. And they hired football coach. Let me tell you who they hired. They hired football coach. They hired Jedd Fisch from UCLA. Jedd Fisch from the Patriots. This guy is an absolutely horrible head coach, and I'll tell you why. Number one, Jedd Fisch has never coached collegiate football. He's never coached collegiate football ever in his life. So that's one big reason why. Number two, I significantly doubt the charismatic ability of Jedd Fisch to recruit. He's an offensive coordinator. He stays up in the press box. He's 44 years old, and he looks a little bit nerdy just from the intake. Now, I don't know Jedd Fisch from dog crap, but the thing is about Jedd Fisch is that Jedd Fisch certainly looks kind of like he is not charismatic and that he is not going to essentially expand his personality. Now, can Jedd Fisch do that? Maybe. The point is, I believe Jedd Fisch was hired because he happens to know the school president of Arizona very well. He happened to be roommates with Howie Roseman. But Jedd Fisch bounces everywhere. He doesn't stay in one place for 1 year. He is not a program builder whatsoever. He looks boring. This is going to be the worst hire in the history of college football. They're going to be hiring somebody in another year. His offenses at UCLA were absolutely pitiful with Josh Rosen. I can even go ahead and try to find you the statistics of Jedd Fisch in those offenses at UCLA. Okay, he made Josh Rosen even worse. But just looking at his resume, the thing is about his resume is that from the years 1990 to 2000, he was a GA. Then he went to the Houston Texans for 1 year. Then he was an offensive assistant in Baltimore 1 year. Denver Broncos 1 year. Minnesota 1 year. Seattle Seahawks quarterback coach 1 year. So he never stayed long enough. He never trusted a process. And the thing is, even about UCLA, I mean, UCLA let him go, and he had Josh Rosen as his quarterback. So, the point is, and then he went to the LA Rams for 2 seasons, and then he was with the Patriots. He was also with the Rams when they had their crappy season last year. The point is that Jedd Fisch has never even been close to a head coach, and he's never even led successful offense. I mean, McDaniels is the offensive coordinator. Where has Jedd Fisch been the offensive coordinator? He was the offensive coordinator at UCLA. So the same argument that Jedd Fisch was around Bill Belichick, Jedd Fisch was around Sean McVay, he wasn't coaching offensive ball out there. And then, was he really recruiting? Is this guy in front of a microphone all the time? Is this guy ready to recruit? Is he ready to lead the area? You look at Arizona in that football program, and that's a program that needs to immediately get the ship righted out at the University of Arizona. So I think it's a gosh-awful hire by Arizona. Again, this job hasn't been that successful the past 10 years, maybe since the days of Nick Foles and Rob Gronkowski and Rich Rodriguez, when Rich Rod had it decent at the University of Arizona. But the point is that you have San Diego that's pretty close by. You have LA that's within 3 hours driving distance to Tucson. So you should be able to recruit some pretty good California talent. Then you can also go from Tucson. You can go into New Mexico, Texas. You can definitely try to get Texas kids to go to Arizona. You can also recruit up in Seattle. You can go to Oregon and get some guys. Those are all kind of on the West Coast. So I know that LA is closer maybe to Tempe than it is to Tucson, but it's not like these two jobs are completely incomparable. I mean, maybe Arizona State has more money, and yeah, maybe Tempe is more built up, downtown area. It's closer to Scottsdale, but you ever go to Tucson, it's an unbelievable place to go. I mean, the golfing there is spectacular, the desert views. It's even more beautiful desert. It's more authentic desert than I even think Scottsdale is. I think you get more desert experience out in Tucson. And I think you can have great football out there. I think you can run an awesome offense. And you had Neil Brennan. I actually don't think his name is Neil, but I'll tell you the coach of San Jose State, I think it's Brent Brennan, the head coach of San Diego State. And this was a guy that, once again, just won the Mountain West Championship. This guy, Brent Brennan, is an unbelievable coach. He's very, very charismatic, okay? If you go ahead and look at Brent Brennan and you look at the record that Brent has had, okay? Brent Brennan, okay? And he was at San Jose State for a long time. In 2005 to about 2009, he stayed put at his organization. Then as the head coach in 2017, it was a rough year, 2-11. Then in 2018, he only won one game. So he had a really brutal start, but instead of cowarding away, instead of, maybe quitting or trying to find a way out, Brennan just stuck his heels in deeper. Then he went 5-7 with a really good passing game in 2019, including a win over the Arkansas Razorbacks. And then he recruited Nick Starkel to San Jose State. And Brent Brennan went 7-0 this year. So Brent Brennan could have been the coach of Arizona. He wanted that job. And Brent Brennan can recruit. He has awesome quarterback play. His offenses are really fun. The defense is physical. He has really good GAs under him. At San Jose State, some really impressive kids. He knows people from Oregon State. He knows the recruiting landscape of even San Francisco, NorCal, near Berkeley, Oakland, San Francisco. He knows that area. He recruits the whole state of California, Brent Brennan. And the thing about Brennan was he was a collegiate coach, and he's been coaching in college football his whole life. In fact, he even has an Arizona graduate assistant. He was even an Arizona GA in the year 2000. So he would have came back kind of like Tom Herman was a GA at the University of Texas. So Brent Brennan, what does he have over Jedd Fisch? He has coaching experience in collegiate football. He's taken a team in San Jose State that's kind of been towards the bottom of the Mountain West Conference, and what he's done at San Jose State, it has absolutely been spectacular. I mean, the thing that he did, Brent Brennan, is that he went undefeated this year in the Mountain West at San Jose State. He got a quarterback transfer, Nick Starkel, who's never played in his offense before, to absolutely be really good in this offense. He runs like an aerial raid system. The ball's always in the air. They play with an aggressive physical style on defense, but on offense, they really spread you out, and then they're not afraid to pound the football, though, as well. It's a beautiful offense. It's a spread, but you can also run the ball as well. And they beat Nevada. They went on a 26-7 run in the Mountain West Championship game at San Jose State. So they've been really good, but the fact is, it's a little bit like Matt Rule. He went 3-22 his first 2 years. But instead of quitting, he bowed up to adversity. And what do you know about Arizona? They just lost by 70 to the Sun Devils. So they're dealing with adversity at the University of Arizona. They need somebody to build a program. They need a program builder. And Brennan and his program, they have so much fun. They sing in the locker room. He's as charismatic as they come, very charismatic. He's 47 years old, so he's still a very young guy. He played at UCLA, and he would recruit California. He even would dive into the Hawaii kids in the Hawaii area. He was at Oregon State, so he could get Hawaiian kids. And that is the point about Neil Brennan. And also, Brent Brennan has unbelievable quarterback play. So that's one guy who wanted the Arizona job that would have been better. The other guy who wanted the Arizona football job, the other guy was Kenny Dillingham. And I've known about Kenny now for a couple of years of following Kenny's career. It's an unbelievable story. I mean, Mike Norvell was a wide receiver coach under I believe Todd Graham at Arizona State in about the year like 2012, 2013. Kenny Dillingham basically finished out college. I don't know where he was, finishing college out, but he was volunteer coaching at Chaparral High School. Just volunteering as a kid that's just out of college, just grinding at Chaparral High School. And then Mike Norvell came to Chappell High School, and Mike Norvell and Kenny Dillingham met, and Kenny Dillingham basically said to Mike Norvell, they basically forged a friendship, and Norvell said to Kenny Dillingham, hey, I really like the way you guys are actually running your high school offense. If you want to stop by the stadium out, in Tempe, you're welcome to come to any practice at Arizona State. And Norvell, he usually says that line to a lot of people, but he didn't know how serious Kenny Dillingham was about actually attending the practices at Arizona State. So then Kenny Dillingham, being the type of guy he is, a football guy, incredible, charisma about the kid. What ended up happening with Kenny was he actually attended the practices of Arizona State. Every single day he would attend the practices. And Norvell's like, gosh, this guy keeps on bothering me. He keeps on attending the practices. And eventually Kenny Dillingham got onto the staff at Arizona State. And him and Norvell struck up an unbelievable friendship. And Kenny Dillingham, his ability to recruit, his ability to connect with people specifically from the state of Arizona. He's a local Arizona kid, and he's not just going to leave a job. He's not just going to leave a job of the offensive coordinator at the prestigious Florida State University. He's not just going to leave that job for anything. It would have to be a dream job. And he applied for the Arizona coaching job. So the thing is about Kenny Dillingham, he was at Chaparral High School literally as a quarterback coach for about 5 years, unbelievably. And he did actually graduate from Arizona State impressively. I think he was volunteering at Chaparral along with going to Arizona State. So that just shows his commitment. Then eventually Arizona State welcomed Dillingham on as an offensive assistant. Then he went to Memphis, was a GA at Memphis, and he worked with Norvell throughout Memphis. And those were the best years of Memphis. I mean, you had guys like Miller on the Chicago Bears. Great receiver Anthony Miller. You had Riley Ferguson at the quarterback position. Paxton Lynch. Well, Paxton Lynch was actually with Justin Fuente. Paxton was with Fuente, but you had Ferguson, and then you had some Brady White years as well. So overall, just incredible running backs too. I think Gibson on the Washington Redskins was on that team as well, the Redskins. So the thing is about Kenny Dillingham is this would have been an electric hire. I mean, the social media would have been off the charts with Dillingham, his ability to recruit young kids. I mean, the brand. I mean, it would be just so much fun at the University of Arizona, and Arizona needed to take a risk on a high upside guy. But Jed Fish is as boring as it gets. His offenses are terrible. It's like hiring Dow Loggins or Adam Gase once again. You know his offenses suck. Who cares that Adam Gase got promoted by Peyton Manning? I mean, the fact is, Sean McVay, Bill Belichick, not everybody who comes from them is very good. You look at Charlie Weiss, you look at guys like Romeo Crennel, and then even Zach Taylor's like not even doing that great with the LA Rams, coming from the Rams. So just because you're associating with a genius, or you're in the shadows of being a genius, doesn't mean that you yourself will pick up every single tendency that they have. And that is why there's only one Sean McVay, because if all his coaching offspring in the tree was going out there and being so successful as well, then everybody would work there, and then everybody would, of course, be successful. But Jed Fish has never recruited. He's never coached college football. His offenses are boring as dog crap. Cam Newton really regressed. He has no exciting motion on offense. I don't know if he's willing to adapt the way that he recruits. He's just not exciting at all. I mean, there's nothing exciting about the hire. It's the worst hire ever. It would have been worse than Schiano at the University of Tennessee. Chad Morris would have been a better hire. Heck, keeping Kevin Sumlin and getting beat by 70. Kevin Sumlin has more charisma in his left pinky than this guy Jed Fish. Jed Fish was making fun like he comes from a family of fish, like that's his main punchline joke, which at least he's trying to attempt a joke. I mean, but come on, it's a little corny, yeah. But and so that's the thing about Jed Fish. That is the thing about the University of Arizona coaching job. I hate the hire. Hate it. It's the worst hire. Because again, you had Brent Brennan, who the guys in the locker room are singing "Lean on Me," when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. That's what Brent Brennan and those guys are singing in the San Jose State locker room. They were trapped in Nevada for 8 weeks, and they ended up beating Carson Strong, a future first-round quarterback. They came back from a big deficit in that game. They're smart. Their DC is smart, and Brent Brennan will adapt. He always adapts. He hires really good staffs. He's been in the Pac-12 at Oregon State before. This guy, Jed Fish, is an NFL guy, bounced around everywhere. Brent Brennan's been in the Pac-12 for 5 years at Oregon State, less than 6 years ago. So he knows what it's like to recruit Oregon. He knows what it's like to recruit California. He's built a program. He's had to come in and rebuild a struggling program, and now he just got a huge extension. You had him right in your laps. You also had Kenny Dillingham, who at 30 years old is a rising star in the coaching community. Yes, Kenny Dillingham at Auburn might not have called the plays. Yes, Norvell calls a lot of the plays, but just talk to Kenny Dillingham, and you could just see the passion that he has for football. You could see his perfectionist attitude. You could see how he relates to kids. He's elite at relating to kids. He's going to be a tremendous football coach, head coach, and a recruiter. And this team, everybody would be jumping. I would love to volunteer for Coach Dillingham if he got a job. I would love to be on that staff. That's how much fun Coach Dillingham is. I've known about Coach Dillingham, or I've followed his interviews for years now. And you had Brent Brennan, and you had Coach Dillingham. You had the hottest thing going from San Jose State, and you had a young 30-year-old coach who wanted the job. You also had a former NFL linebacker with great recruiting ability who just came from a mega successful Herm Edwards coaching staff in Antonio Pierce, one of the greatest leaders in the history of the New York Giants, and at the linebacker position, Antonio Pierce is an absolute beast. And if you're a defensive player, if you're an offensive player, you're going to run a roll with Antonio Pierce. He knows the NFL. He has connections everywhere. You're not just going to go with this offensive coordinator, kind of guy that's, again, it's Jed Fish. So this hire is as stupid as it comes. The Arizona fan base was going to throw a Schiano if they could. Ridiculous, just because Jed Fish knows the president. The great news about Jed Fish and this hire is now Jed Fish is going to get an opportunity to make me, and this is a pretty common take, he's going to get an opportunity to make me look foolish if he turns out to be great. I will admit I'm dead wrong, but I think this is the worst hire maybe in the history of college football that I've ever seen since I was covering college football. This hire is absolutely horrendous.